Reddit. This place never fails to change my perspective on things. With the different types of topics posted on here, you're never short of finding something interesting up here. Today, we'll be taking a deep dive on a post that I found on the legal advice subreddit about a Redditor who asked for advice about how to deal with a stalker who was stalking their family.
This is their story.
On June 6, 2019, at 10:54 a.m., a Redditor of the name Throw the Account Away 12 would make a post on the legal advice subreddit asking for help about a stalker who was stalking their family. Their post is as follows. Moving family quickly and quietly due to a stalker. What's our options? First time poster under a throwaway for obvious reasons. I apologize in advance for the length and format as I am also immobile. We moved into a house in Kentucky just over a year ago. We being myself, my husband, my special needs son from a previous relationship, and our toddler daughter. Around October/November of last year when my husband started working late shifts, my dog went crazy at our side door. We were all upstairs but I could see that door from the top of our staircase. I could see through the plexiglass on the door that someone was shoving their shoulder into it and trying to bust in. Luckily they heard something and ran out of the side alley. Since then there have been 6 attempted break-ins or taunting by setting our alarm system off. We have gotten security cameras of which we only caught a shadow profile and a silhouette. We have gotten a second even more terrifying looking dog and upped our already in place home security. I can't even open the windows to my own home anymore and have to keep everything locked up tight with the alarm always on. We've narrowed the target to myself or my young daughter. She's glued to me so it would be impossible without more contact to tell which of us it is. The other night they tried to use a key fob for our alarm system that they had stolen off of my car keys at a public play place while my husband and I were out with our kids. We thought we lost it until then. Again, luckily, I had already deactivated it and the safety feature set off my silent alarm. I woke up to 4 cruisers at my home at 12:45 a.m. That same day my kids and I were sent to stay at another safer home until my husband comes back from duty. This is the second time since before Christmas. We have had the cops to our house, I have gone to them, we have filed reports and asked for welfare checks or to watch the house and they aren't able to do anything because I have no idea who this person could be. I even got a phone call from a private number and when I answered by accident I could have sworn the person said die. It has gotten too far to wait for the cops to do anything. Not that they haven't tried, but they have nothing left to go on. We are looking into selling our home and moving states before summer's end, and with my son, I am concerned about my ex trying to take him. Even though we never filed paperwork, I am told in Ohio and Kentucky that I am the assumed parent with custody. He has moved states and hours away multiple times for school and work, sees him every few weeks or months and just started paying child support for the first time last August. He even told me over text he wants no physical agreement on paper, so we never got him a visitation schedule. We will have to get new names with sealed records and I still want him to see his biological father without giving away our names or location or at least binding him to not release it himself. Is this possible? What type of lawyer should I be looking for to encompass all of our needs? My ex himself isn't really an issue for trying to take my son, but his parents are very involved and I'm worried about them making him step up for them. I just want to cover all of my bases so that my kids and I are safe. My husband is in the military and I am not even sure if JAG handles this kind of thing. Is there anyone who knows enough about this to give me a direction to go in? Thank you. Redditors would start to give their comments and opinions as to what to do in this situation. One Redditor of the name Faraday Cage Fight would make some great advice. Their comment is as follows. For right now, get cameras on your house and cars, front and rear, and ask the post office hold your mail for pickup. Sign up for informed delivery so you can make sure you are receiving everything. Put passwords on all of your doctors, dentists, daycares, and schools. Make sure nobody can pick up your kids or get info or change anything without the password. Aside from pursuing legal action by reporting the stalking and harassment to the police, I advise the following actions based on the assumption that the stalker may have intercepted mail or otherwise obtained your personal information. Establish an LLC. Make the name something completely unrelated to you. Open a post office office box in the LLC's name and use that box as the LLC's address of record. Retain an attorney or CPA to act as the registered agent of the LLC. Do not use your names for any of the public parties. You may have to use one of your names as the organizer. If required, try to only use an initial instead of your full first name. Obtain a taxpayer ID number for the LLC. Open a bank account in the LLC's name. When you buy a new house and move, buy the house in the LLC's name, put all the utilities as well, and have all mail go to the P.O. box. All the bills should be paid out of the LLC bank account. In most areas, property records and business registrations are public record and often Googleable. Create layers between your names and the property. After the purchase, put a freeze on the credit of everyone in your family, and fully cover the house with cameras. Hopefully it dies down without escalating. This is great advice. OP could use this LLC trick to hide where they obtain a new residence to keep this stalker away from their family. OP would reply to this comment stating, "My husband thanks you for this. We were planning to buy real estate to rent out before this and use LLCs. We never thought to use it for this. Thank you." Another Redditor would make some great advice with them stating, "Is it possible for you to move on base? If the stalker is not military, that would make it much more difficult for them to get to you / your kids. If they are able to continue stalking when you are on base, it seems it would narrow the list of suspects considerably. Who would have access to your husband's work hours? You mentioned that it started when your husband started working late. Do either of you ever post anything about his work / his schedule on social media? Make sure that if he has any deployments or anything like that coming up, that you guys have complete silence on social media about it. I would also make sure your son's school is aware of the issue and that they are not to release him to anyone besides you and your husband, and that if someone else were to ask questions about him / you, or attempt to pick him up, or any other suspicious behavior, they should notify you and or the police immediately, and if possible, stall the person. I know you said that so far they seem to be focusing on you and your daughter, but since she's always with you, I'd be concerned about the person going after your son if he's an easier target." This is good advice. OP should see if the stalker is military, as that could narrow down the list of suspects substantially. OP should also notify their son's school staff to notify them and the proper local authorities if anyone strange tries to come and ask about their son. OP would reply to this comment stating, "I appreciate it. Other than the base, I have been on this since it started. Sending my son to his grandparents on the low without disclosing anything but home renovations in his school was made aware to the tune of keeping him out for half a week while we stay somewhere 45 minutes away. He is out now, which makes it a bit easier to not have to answer to much, but still he needs more stability than this. We have been trying to go active to get away from it, but the closest bases are further downstate in 2 hours or in another state in an hour, and we would still need to finish this house before we could get out from under it, but trust me, we're trying. As for social media, my husband has none but Reddit, and it isn't linked to him at all, not even a verified email, and I have stopped posting even on my online business to avoid location pinpoints online. I'll look further into moving to base. What we think happened was the person was watching either after he already got the job, or that they just waited for a pattern of my husband already wasn't there. My husband thinks it is someone who has seen me and had brief contact with me at my son's school, which would make sense on why it didn't happen until we moved here. Thank you for your response, I appreciate it." From this comment, it seems it's possible that the stalker could be someone OP or their husband may have had contact with near their area or someone they know. One Redditor would also give some great advice with them stating, "Get find friends on all your phones and add a trusted family / friend to the list so they have access to your locations. Carry the phone with you at all times. Tell your family / friend to periodically check on your location and to call authorities if it looks like you're not in a location you should be. Yes, you're giving up privacy doing this, but this is a serious security threat. May want to also consider getting a drop phone that also has find friends, and that way if you're in a situation where you're required to give up your phone, you can just give up one of the phones. Get a tracker for your dogs too in case they try to abduct them. Sorry you're dealing with this and stay safe." I think this is wonderful advice. OP could use these tactics to give their location in case of an emergency if approached or threatened by the stalker. One Redditor would bring up a good point with them stating, "It's possible that it could be abduction oriented without being linked to trafficking. Traffickers usually go for high risk victims, meaning people involved in lifestyles that make them easy targets, or they try to lure people into meeting them somewhere outside of their home. Someone focused specifically on your family might be looking for a way to get at you outside of the house. Neither option is pleasant, obviously." This is a good point. I do find it odd how the stalker is trying so hard to break into OP's home, a considerable several amount of times. OP would reply to this comment stating, "I do live right outside of a city, but I am not considered a high-risk victim, I do know that, which is another reason we assumed it was targeted at myself or my daughter. We have been taking the long way to get places and I have been staying at an unusual location to throw off anyone who would know where I would go. So I'm hoping this is not it, but also of course wishing none of them were. Thank you." Luckily, OP is taking the long way to get to places and staying at an unusual location to keep the stalker off of them. Another Redditor would reply to this comment, backing up the previous Redditor's point, stating, "I can't imagine this is a case of hand trafficking. Why would they work so hard when there are other, easier targets available? This is definitely targeted at you specifically. I hope everything works out." This I agree with. With the effort the stalker has gone to, it seems that OP and her family are being targeted at specifically. A former military wife would also give great advice with them, stating, "Former military wife here, not a lawyer. Have motion detector lights everywhere if you don't already, and cameras that come on when they're triggered. They don't have to be very bright, even the night vision ones are good, but if a bright light shines on someone whenever they come close, they might pick another target. Keep a log of what happens that's weird. Paper calendar as well as your phone, which can be stolen or run low on power. Take your videos to the JAG office. Absolutely let them know that something is going on. Let them know that you're scared, that you have someone who keeps trying to break in. Ask them how much they think would be good to tell your husband. If he's in a war zone, you want him focused and safe, as possible that is. To the civilian cops, you could look like a crazy person who wants her husband back home. To the military, they're familiar with the idea that creeps stalk women whose husbands are gone or deployed. Not like this happens every day, but it's not unheard of by any means, and they would have a good handle on it. They can also check in a day to see if the same things have been happening at other bases, in case it's a military or a contractor. Family advocacy can help. Either way, there's safety in numbers. The more you isolate yourself, the easier it is to get to you. Don't let your home become your prison. The military police can also get records of crime in your neighborhood, going back for years. If your home was a drug house or vacant for a while, 2 married military members deployed simultaneously, then it can look like a target of someone who was quote-unquote away for some time, but is now back. Good luck. This is great advice. OP's husband could contact JAG, the Judge Advocate General's Corps, which is a government law organization that helps with all legal matters to people in the military to get legal help. After all of this, OP would post an update to their original post. That update is as follows. Update. Thank you to everyone responding. I am trying to get back to all of your comments as soon as I can. And please, anyone with legal advice on my situation with my son. I see JAG a lot, but no confirmation if they can help with this particular need. We do have cameras, a security system, 2 large dogs who will attack anyone that I tell them to or they don't know entering our home, a gun, and 1 floodlight in the backyard. There are some blind spots and our cameras didn't always pick up the motion, so we started a constant feed this past week with the last incident. We have had them try and bypass with magnets and such, so we are upping both the cameras and our sensors, and we will be getting dash cams. I have utilized a few of the tracking or precaution apps mentioned, so thank you. As for who this is could be, I am pretty much a social recluse. I run 2 businesses from home, raise 2 kids and 2 dogs, and my husband is in school, the military, and has a full-time job. We've been working to get ahead and not paying enough attention to the people around us. We have visited the possibility of a drug dealer issue and human trafficking as well as previous combat enemies for my husband, and none of those seemed viable. We will take a closer look into that, but also keep an eye out for any possible creeps in general. Thank you all so much for your responses, and I plan to make a lot of phone calls and visits to military help, JAG, and the police for further help. After this update, however, there wouldn't be a further update from OP on the matter. Hopefully this stalker situation stopped for OP's family and they got the help they deserved. Alright, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. What did you think of this post? Did you think it was real or fake? Personally, I think it was real. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. But as always,
Have a nice day.